Hello, thank you for joining me for today's video. I am a bit late today because I was finishing up with my virtual stamp camp this morning. I've had a bit of a busy weekend with all the virtual events, but we're a bit late today. But that's okay, I've got a really cute project for you anyway. So let me show you what we're going to make. So this is what we're making today. It's a cute little sort of hexagonal teacup which will hold a Ferrero Rocher. I was going to actually wait and show them to you next week Sunday, but then I thought, well, given that that's Mother's Day, these are really cute, little present for Mum for Mother's Day. Or if you're having a Mother's Day lunch, you could have them all over the table and everybody could have one. I'm sure that everybody, not just mums, will enjoy them. Or even if you're doing a Cancer biggest morning tea, then one of those would be, give one of those to each of your guests and that'll go down really well. You need very little to actually make these, right? So you need a piece of DSP, which is 14.5 by 8.3 centimeters, or 5 3/4 by 3 1/4 inches. You need a little piece for the handle, which is 7.6 by 1.2 centimeters, or 3 inches by 1/2 inch. You need 2 little circles. I've cut those out, again going back to my layer and circles die. This is the second smallest scalloped circle, and you're going to need your bone folder, your glue, and your stamping trimmer. And probably the most important thing, don't forget your chocolates. Alright, so let me show you how we're going to make these. Like I said, it is super easy. If you've got a 12 by 12 piece of DSP, you're going to comfortably get 5 cups out of that. You can get 6, but then you're going to need extra scraps of DSP for your little circles. You wouldn't get 6 and enough circles out for 6 cups. I probably wouldn't use 6 by 6 inch DSP for this because you're only going to get 1 cup out of a 6 by 6 sheet. But if you really love that 6 by 6, then go ahead and use it. Alright, so this just feel like it's the wrong way. Alright, so first up, we're going to do some scoring. Now, I have adapted the measurements slightly for centimeters, and I'll show you what the difference is. Okay, so centimeter numbers are really easy. We're scoring at 2.2, 4.4, 6.6, 8.8, 11, and 13.2 centimeters. In inches, that's going to be 7/8 of an inch, 1 3/4, 2 5/8, 3 1/2, 4 3/8, and 5 1/4, and that's all done on the long side. Then we're going to flip it around, and on the short side we're scoring at 2 1/2 and 6.7 centimeters, which is 1 inch and 2 1/4. Alright, so that's all done. And then we're going to fold on those score lines and just give them a good press. And something has gone horribly wrong over here. Let me just check that I scored in the right place. That one's right. Okay, because where I said 6.7, it should have been 5.7. Okay, so 5.7 centimeters, not 6.7 centimeters. There we go. I could see that that looked like it was far too small over there. I need to go and change my measurements for you because I've typed in the wrong measurement. Obviously, I wrote the wrong number down. And then we're going to fold and give a good press on all of those lines. Alright, now I've just realized the one thing that I forgot to tell you that you need, which we cannot do without, is our paper snips, because we need to do some cutting. So I've got that on the other end of the table. 1 second. Alright, now we're going to do some cutting, and it doesn't matter which end you cut because it's going to be the same. I'm actually going to cut this side just because you're not going to see where I've got that extra score line. So that's fine. So what we're going to do is, and I hope that you can see these score lines here. So we're cutting out that first bottom rectangle, and I'm going to notch that tab on top of it. Okay, so we're cutting that out there, and then we're going to just cut a V here so that we're notching both of those tabs, and then along the bottom I'm cutting along each of those score lines up to that line there. Now I think I mentioned that I did actually just adjust these sizes slightly to make it easier for us to score in the centimeters, because the original that I had was scored in inches. So my little sides of the cup here are actually a millimeter smaller than if you score them in inches. So if you have a look here, this one I've scored in inches. Here's the one I've scored in centimeters, and I don't even know if you can see, it is so minutely different. Okay, so you've got just that teeny little 1 millimeter along the edge that your centimeter one is smaller, and I'll show you once we've completed this one, because those were all done in inches the other day. It makes a tiny little difference to the actual size of the cup, but it doesn't make a difference. Your chocolate still fits in there very comfortably. So I'm going to put some glue along the edge of that tab, and I'm gluing along the top here. Now just be careful, you don't want to go all the way to the edge because we need to tuck the tab in. So we're going to stick that down, and then as I'm going along, I'm just helping all of my folds along, putting some glue along this tab over here, and like I said, we're going to tuck that in over there. Okay. And we can just make sure that we've got that nice hexagonal shape there. Now what I do is I just fold back 3 of my tabs, and you can do it one at a time, but I think it just goes a little bit quicker if you put glue on 3 of the tabs. And then we're going to fold down one, doesn't matter which one you start with, and then fold the one opposite, and you're going to glue that. Now just remember that you want the ones that have got the glue on to go on top. So fold there and fold that one, okay, and then there and the last one's going to sit on top of that. You can give it a little bit of a push. Again, I'm not too concerned if the glue's not holding 100% there, because now we're going to take our little circle and I just stick it with the sort of the inside side up, or whatever color's on the bottom there. If you wanted it, you've got that folding down on the inside, so you could put the same color up. And then we're putting another one. So this is serving a dual purpose. It's giving a little bit of extra stability to the bottom, and it's also hiding all your folds and sticks there. Now, what I was saying to you earlier is, if you have a look here, the bottom of my cup is slightly smaller when I've done it in centimeters, but for me that's not a problem. Okay, and then we're taking our handle, and with the bone folder just give it a bit of a pull so that it's curling up a little bit, and I'm putting a little bit of glue on the one side here, and then I'm putting some glue on the opposite side there. Now, when I stick the handle on, I like to stick it at the back, like where my fold is. But I did get moaned at by my husband, known as quality control, because the handle's stuck on the side, so it looks wrong, it's not even. So if you want to keep him happy, when you're sticking the handle, try and get it in the middle of the side there. And he was telling me to go and measure it, and I'm not doing that. I'm just going to eyeball it, and if it's slightly off, that's just too bad. And then we're going to stick the bottom end at the bottom of the cup here. Give that glue a minute to stick, and we'll just push it down a little bit so that it's nice and round. And oops, I put that one back in and it fell over a bit. And then of course, take your chocolate, pop it inside, and there you go. We now have another cup ready to dish out or decorate our table, whatever you're going to do with those. So I think that I'm going to hand these out to a whole heap of people, and I'm sure that everybody's happy because everybody loves chocolates. So I hope that you have a great week. Let me know if you make these. If there's any problems, I'm happy to answer questions. Like I said, they are really easy, and as long as you do your measurements correctly, they just work out every time. I will see you next week. It is Mother's Day next week, so I'll have to try and think of something, what we're going to do. If there's anything that you want to see me do, please let me know. Otherwise, we'll see you next Sunday, and it will be at my normal time, 10 o'clock. Until then, bye.